Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I am here to do a awesome layout. This was originally part of National Scrapbooking Day, the challenges hosted by Victoria Marie Facebook group. This was the very first challenge for the weekend, last weekend. It was put on by Megan, who's Crafty Megan on YouTube. She requested that we do photos of at least 3 photos. Now, that is something I do not regularly, but I've done before. So I thought I would make it a little more challenging for myself and do 5 photos. So I went through my stash and found that the photos I have been working on lately have been about a trip that we went to a pumpkin patch last year. And I happened to have a collection of 5 photos that I knew was going to work perfectly. So I grabbed those, and then I also grabbed some of the Pink Paisley C'est La Vie, the acetate, it's not an acetate, it's a transparency, and I had just used it for my hop that I had done this weekend for the Crafty Maven Getaway / Victoria Marie Facebook group hop, and I had some of it left over, so that was my starting off point. And then I just grabbed all of the little random bits and pieces that I have had lying on my desk all weekend and just started creating. I seriously think that I have used more stash this past weekend than I have in a long time. I have a nice little tray of goodies that when I condensed my project life for 2014, I just put all this stuff in there so that I could remember to look at it and use it. And I digged through that so much for this layout, and a lot of things made it onto this page. So I was super excited about that. And just the fact that I know that I'm using up my stash and I'm trying really hard not to bring in new things is just making my heart so happy. Anyways, so for this layout, I'm keeping it pretty simple. With there being so many photos, the idea of having too much pattern paper, probably not a great idea. Didn't really want to play with mixed media for this one. I love mixed media, but there are some times where all I want to do is just have pretty pattern paper and my pictures and my journaling, and that was one of these things. So what I did want to do though was take out some of the colors from that top strip that you see up there. It's kind of like a gold color, and then it's a navy blue. It was from a piece of pattern paper that I used for a layout a little while ago about going to the beach, and other than these awesome little strips, I wasn't going to use that pattern paper anymore, so I just happened to cut those little strips off and put it in my little basket of scraps, and I saw it laying there right before I started this layout and just grabbed it. So that was my starting off point. I also grabbed that little bottom piece right there. I know it's probably reading black on film, but it is actually a navy blue with a lighter blue design on it, and it's super pretty, and I wanted to pull out some colors from there as well. So that's kind of how I decided what was going to go where, and then I'm just going to kind of play around and see where I think things should go. They kind of start in one spot and end up in another. I had this little squirrel. It's one of those random embellishments, right? What are you going to do with it? And I decided, well, you know what? It's talking about outdoors, so it's pretty relevant to the point. So I went for that, and I used a squirrel in a layout, and I couldn't believe it. The other thing that I did, and on accident, but I did it, was there is this little thing that you see right below that photo of Jackson, and it says Wild Stay. So obviously that got flipped around. It was supposed to say Stay Wild. I accidentally cut off the wrong ends of that little thing, so I'm gonna condense it and make it fit so it works a little bit better, and then it does get switched so it says the correct thing. But I decided that I really like that the spirit of what that means, and so I'm gonna title my entire layout Stay Wild. I really like that, and then the journaling just kind of talks about how adventurous my little guy is, and I hope he always stays like that and finds the little things in life to look at and always wants to be outside and to love nature. Basically is the point of this layout. And again, it's just kind of, I'm wrapping up these photos. I've done, I think, 4 layouts now about this one day. They're all going into different albums. I think 3 of them will end up in the same one, but I had just happened to take so many photos of this one day that I really like, and I just told myself it's fine. I love these photos, so there's nothing wrong with scrapping 6 different layouts of one day. It's totally fine. And actually, in the spirit of Megan, she, if you have watched any of her album shares, has a album from Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I believe, when her 2 oldest boys were like little toddlers, and it's all about those 2 days. She has a whole album of that, so I'm not the only one who does that. Anyway, so as you see, just kind of wrapping up my layout here, little tiny things. Um, I just kind of, again, I went through my stash, and as you can see on the side to the right there, I'm going to start randomly grabbing things. I use this little tab to put the date again, and I put it above the first photo, smaller photo there. I'm not exactly sure what the dimensions are of those photos, but they remind me a lot of like wallet-sized photos. They came from, they're probably 2 3x4s actually. No, they're smaller than that because they came in a collection of 1 4x6 and there were 4 photos on it. So it's even smaller than that. So that would make them 3x2 is what they are. I also added a little frame for the one photo in the middle. That was kind of the one I wanted to highlight my story about, him bending down and picking something up. Pretty funny there. And then the other photos are just random photos taken from the farm that we were at. It is a small farm, a little bit out of the way from where we live. We live kind of in the middle of a city, and obviously there wouldn't be farms here. And so it's about a 20-minute, half-hour drive to get there, but it's worth it, and it reminds me of where I grew up and home a lot. So I really like to document these things. So you're going to see me just add my title here, and those little arrows are from, again, that Project Life thing that I had. And that is basically going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone so much for watching, and I hope you've been having a great weekend and getting a lot scrapped. I will be back soon. Bye, everybody.